Okay. Good morning, Facebook fans. My name is Dr. Mike Atkinson, and we're here at Brookfield Zoo's Animal Hospital, where we're bringing the zoo to you again today. Today we thought we would give you a behind-the-scenes look into what's going on in our animal hospital. Even in the middle of everything that's going on around the world right now with COVID, we do still have a responsibility to provide the absolute best care and welfare that we can to our animals here at the zoo. So while we have postponed a lot of elective medical procedures and are working to minimize our programs as best we can, we do still have a very strong, robust program going on providing all of the medical care that we need for our animals here at the zoo. Today we're working on Chica, one of our white-nosed coatis. We are just getting her under anesthesia in the room next door, and she'll be coming out here in just a minute for the exam and the procedure that we're doing today. Anesthetic timing is always a little bit of a difficult thing. It's very different than in the movies where an animal just falls asleep instantly when they're given the drugs. It can be a little bit variable in its timing. So we tried to time it perfectly for 11 o'clock today, and it looks like we've got pretty close. Ashley is bringing out Chica right now. So Chica is a 3-year-old white-nosed coati that lives here at the zoo. She's been with us since last fall, so she's still a fairly recent arrival here at the zoo. And what we're doing today is we're basically just replacing a contraceptive implant in Chica. And we've got two coatis, Chica and our male Lando. And in order for them to live together right now, we don't want them breeding and reproducing. So Chica is going to have a birth control implant placed today that will make sure that we don't have any unexpected babies, and that will allow us to have these two animals together. So this was a procedure that was deemed fairly important in terms of being able to keep these animals in the normal social group that we want them into. So we're going to just get our anesthesia situated here. I'm going to take a quick listen to her heart and her lungs while Ashley's getting some monitoring equipment hooked up on her. Got a nice strong heart rate and everything sounds wonderful. Lungs sound good on both sides. So, as I said, the coatis are kind of a new arrival here at the zoo. So many of you that have not been to the zoo over the winter may not have seen these animals here yet. They're in our Fragile Kingdom Desert exhibit. And when we get through this whole COVID epidemic, we hope that all of you will get back out here and see these guys as they arrive. They're really a wonderful species and one of my kind of personal favorites. Just a really kind of neat animal to work with. They're very closely related to the North American raccoon. They're in the same family. So for all of the kids that are at home doing their schoolwork at home right now, one of the fun things you could do today is look at the Procyon family, which is what these guys are a member of. So just with our raccoons here in North America, these guys are sort of a South American raccoon version, and there's a number of other fun small carnivore species that many people are not really familiar with. Kinkajous, olingos, ringtails, cacomistles. There's just a whole bunch of fun little animals that you guys could look at today on the internet to learn more about. Everything sound good? Mm-hmm. All right, so what we're going to get right to here is the purpose of our exam today, and this is a contraceptive implant we're going to place. We're going to turn her up here on her belly so we can get good access to her back. And this implant just goes in out of a syringe, very similar to a microchip that many of you may have in your pets. Grab a pair of scissors to get this open. And this particular implant lasts 12 months, so we'll put this just under the skin, and this will provide her with good birth control for 12 months. So we can see here, so it's kind of a big needle, but it's just going to be a little poke under the skin. And then just a quick little injection. And it's about the size of about 2 grains of rice, kind of back to back. And then we're just going to put a little dab of tissue glue over the opening there. And that's it for that part of the procedure. So these are very similar to birth control implants used in people as far as how they're placed and the efficacy of the drugs. But it provides a very non-invasive way, eliminates the need for having to make sure that we get a daily medication into this animal, which can be a little bit tricky sometimes, and also eliminates any sort of more permanent form of control of reproduction, so that at some point down the future, down the road, if we wanted to breed this animal, we would be able to do so. When these guys do reproduce, they have fairly small litters, usually about 2 to 4 animals born at a time. As far as their social groupings, a number of females will often live together, sometimes in bands up to 15 or 20 animals together, usually with just 1 or 2 males with that group at a time. Well, we've got her here today with us. We're going to just take advantage of this opportunity to just do a real good, thorough, quick check of her overall health. So I'm going to do some other things like look in her eyes, look at her teeth, look in her ears. We'll take a blood sample here in a few minutes to evaluate all of her organ functions and make sure that everything seems like she's in good health. So as I said earlier, these guys are from Mexico through Central America and down into South America. The white-nosed Coati species, which is what we're working with today, ranges in the northern part of that range, so Mexico down through Central America, and then the South American Coati mundis range extends from the very tip of South America at the north all the way down through the southern parts of South America. These guys live in a variety of different habitats, everything from forested areas to high mountain areas to borderline desert areas, so just a really kind of versatile species. They are omnivores, so they eat a variety of different food items, everything from insects and small mammals or small lizards that they may catch, as well as a variety of fruit and some small vegetable species, or not vegetable species, I'm getting my things mixed up there, sorry, fruits and small vegetables as well. So everything palpates really good here, it feels very normal. Take a feel of both of her kidneys, feel all the different organs and intestines, everything feels normal. We're also going to just take a quick feel of her joints and her muscles. These guys have a very interesting anatomy in their ankle joints, where they basically are able to rotate their ankle beyond 180 degrees, and that really gives them a lot of good grip in their hind legs and allows them to climb up and down trees very easily. It also allows them to even go down some of those trees head first by being able to keep a really strong grip on the tree as they're going down.
Dr. Mike, can you tell us what all the clips on her are for?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've got here are different clips on her, both sides of her arms, as well as one on her back leg, and these different clips are giving us an EKG reading. So it's basically giving us a heart rate rhythm that we can see here on this little small vet recorder device. So this is Chica's heart rate there along the top. It's telling us that her heart rate right now is 102 beats per minute. And then this clip on her back leg there is a pulse oximeter, so it's giving us an idea of how well she's oxygenating, or how much oxygen her red blood cells are carrying through her body right now. We do have her on some oxygen. You can see here by this little face mask. And anytime we've got an animal under anesthesia, we do tend to run them medical oxygen just to help keep their oxygen saturation up and make sure that their organs are getting enough oxygenation. Some of the drugs that we use to get an animal under anesthesia can cause a little bit of depression of what would be normal respiratory function. So by giving them that oxygen, we compensate for that. And you can see her really long front nails here. These are great for digging, so these guys are really effective at digging down into the ground to dig up food items that they may want to eat.
And can you remind us what kind of animal this is?
So this is a white-nosed Coati mundi that we're working with today. Her name is Chica. She's one of 2 that we have here at the zoo. Our other white-nosed Coati is named Lando. So at this point, I think we're going to go ahead and flip her back over onto her back again. We're going to let Ashley grab a blood sample, and we can answer a few questions at this point if we have some.
How long is her tail?
So her tail is a little bit shorter than normal, so you can see it standing up here. The tails in some of these guys can actually be a little bit longer. They use those for both balance while they're moving around through the treetops. They also use those trees as a signal device if they're in sort of more of a grassland area so that the band of animals can see one another. Give Ashley a hand here with the blood collection. So we're just going to take this blood sample from her jugular vein. And this will just be for what we call a complete blood cell count, which gives us a look at all of the different white blood cells and red blood cells within her body, gives us an idea of her overall health, whether there's any infection or inflammation anywhere in her body. And then we'll also be taking what we call a chemistry panel, which gives us a look at a whole bunch of different electrolytes and enzymes that give us an idea of how well her liver is functioning, her kidney functions, protein levels that can indicate inflammation.
Where does she live at the zoo?
So she's in our fragile desert area. Some of you may remember our rock hyrax area in that building. We made a change here over the last year to swap to Coati in that area. So the next time you're out here at the zoo after all of this COVID pandemic starts to settle down and people are able to get back to normal and folks are able to come back out here to the zoo, that's where you'll find them on display.
Will she be in any pain when she wakes up?
She won't be. So the medications that we use to get her under anesthesia also have some great pain relieving efficacy. So she'll wake up with a very nice level of pain control. Really the only thing even uncomfortable that we did to her today was just that small little stick there for the blood collection, which is really no different than you or I having our blood collected. And then also this little birth control implant that we placed on her back was delivered through a needle as well. So while it's kind of a big needle, probably hurt a little bit in the moment, it's not going to leave any residual pain or discomfort. And with her being under anesthesia when we placed that, it's not really anything that we really even felt at the time that it was done.
Do all animals use the Airbed that's on the table?
Right here. So this is a warming device. So this has hot air blowing up through it. Gives a nice warm platform to keep her nice and warm while she's under anesthesia. We've also got a heated table here, so the table is also producing some heat, and it really just makes sure that they maintain a very normal body temperature while they're under anesthesia.
Are their tails prehensile?
Their tails are not prehensile. It's a great question.
Do they come in any other colors?
The South American Coati is a little bit lighter colored, kind of a tannish coat, and much more pronounced ring pattern on the tail. So they do look a little bit different, but otherwise the coloration pattern is pretty similar.
How big will she get?
This is full size, so this is as big as she'll get. The males do tend to be a little bit heavier, average between about 8 and 12 pounds.
And how often do they get checkups?
So most of the animals like this in our zoo get a checkup exam every 1 to 2 years. We've got it worked out differently for different species so that we're working to make sure that we're maintaining the individual animal's best interests at heart. Because we do have to put them under anesthesia, there is a little bit of, challenge involved in that with some of these animals, as well as just the post-anesthetic effects that leaves the animal. So we try and not put animals under anesthesia any more than absolutely necessary. But we also want to make sure that we have them under anesthesia often enough that we can get all of the information we need to make sure that we're maintaining their health at the highest level possible. So in the case of an animal like this, it's usually about once a year.
Can you remind us again why she needs the birth control?
Yes, so the 2 animals that we have here at the zoo are both fairly young. So she's going to turn 3 at the end of the month of April here, and our male Lando is about the same age. And at this point, there is a little bit of relatedness between the 2 of them, so we just don't want this particular pair of Coati to have reproduction. At some point down the road, we may swap one animal for another animal with a different zoo, and at that point, we would want potentially to reproduce these animals. So we want to make sure that we're using a reversible birth control and not something that would be a permanent form of birth control, such as spaying or neutering, like we would do with a pet dog or cat. All of the decisions on the reproduction is managed by the Association of Zoos and Aquariums by what's called the Species Survival Program, and that looks at the overall population of all the different coatis at all the different zoos in North America that hold this particular species. and they try and make the recommendations for the best pairings of animals to make sure that we're maintaining the best genetic diversity we can. These guys in the wild, they do face a lot of threats and challenges. Their populations in parts of their range are very robust, but in other parts of their range they're actually declining. So from a conservation standpoint, we're trying to make sure that our population in zoos is a very robust population and able to be here to support the wild population should the need arise. They face a lot of challenges with habitat loss, deforestation, as well as direct hunting of the animals.
Is her fur soft?
Sorry, what?
Is her fur soft?
Her fur is, it's soft, similar to, what would you say it's similar to, Ashley? Sort of kind of a scruffier dog breed, I guess, would be the best way to put it. Like a ferret, that's a good example, yeah. Definitely a little bit coarser fur coat than what you would find in like a domestic cat, for instance. Let me go ahead and pop those in here.
How long after she wakes up will she be running around?
So what Ashley is doing right now is giving 3 different drugs that are reversals to the anesthetic drugs that we gave to put her under anesthesia. So these are fairly quick acting, and this is going to reverse all of the anesthetic effects that she has on board right now. So within 5 to 10 minutes she'll start to wake up. She'll wake up kind of calmly at first and then be back to normal probably within about 30 minutes or so.
What's her lifespan?
Her lifespan is up to about 15 years is sort of the average. Coati is 13 to 15 years. There are a few that have lived into their early 20s, but those are the real outliers. So those would be the equivalent of a person living to be 120. While we all hope to live to be 120, most of us are not going to reach that age. So we tend to look more at the median life expectancy, which is about 13 to 15 years.
Is her species endangered?
Her species is threatened in parts of her range where we really are starting to see population declines, but in other areas the populations are still pretty strong and robust in the wild. They're a pretty versatile animal in terms of how they cope in the wild. Similar to our raccoon here in North America, they've adapted fairly well to some of the urban changes that we see within our landscape. The fact that they eat a fairly wide variety of food items allows them to adjust a little more quickly to some of the issues going on in their natural environment. So they're doing okay in much of their range, but obviously with any animal species today, we're very focused on trying to make sure that we're doing everything we can to conserve the natural world around them and protect habitat and make sure that we're not causing these animal populations to decline. Okay. One other thing you'll notice is that today we're all wearing masks. We're trying very hard to maintain our distance as best as possible, but one of the things that we really are very focused on here at the zoo is making sure that we're still providing the absolute highest level of care to the animals that we have here at the zoo. So in the case of today's procedure, this is a procedure that we really couldn't delay, so we're going ahead with it. A lot of our elective procedures and things that are a little more able to be flexed, we're trying to schedule some of those things accordingly so that we're really keeping our staff here as safe as possible as well as the animals here at the zoo. So thank you all for joining us today. It's been absolutely wonderful to give you a behind the scenes look here in our animal hospital and the opportunity to see the work that we're still doing here in the middle of everything going on in the world right now. And we hope that you'll continue to keep joining us as we bring the zoo to you every day. So we hope to see you back tomorrow on Facebook, same time, same place. Take care.